On today's ChurchTechCast.com Q&A show, self-publishing, SDI, DVD authoring, and lower thirds. Hi, and welcome again to another episode of the ChurchTechCast.com Q&A show. This is the show where every week I answer your church tech questions. My name is Paul Allen Clifford. I'm your host, and I'd love for you to ask your questions, so just do that below the video. If you're listening to the audio, that's cool too. Head on over to trinitydigitalmedia.com/contact and use any of the contact information you find there, or you could just leave your question there. That's cool too. So, as always, I've got a few questions that I've been receiving, so let's hop on into those. Michael Campbell, in a comment on an article I wrote over at Church Mag, all about self-publishing, says, "Unfortunately, I want to publish a book on photography and I only use a Mac." Well, Michael, the good news, and for everyone listening, I'll try and remember to leave a link to this article, is all the stuff that I recommended was stuff that I used on a Mac. So I don't see any reason why you couldn't use it yourself. And iBooks Author, now they've changed the licensing term, so you could just use that, and that's free through Apple. So I think those are the two ways that I would go about doing that. Amal Raj on trinitydigitalmedia.com, who went to trinitydigitalmedia.com/contact like I told you to. This is what he asks. We're planning on going with SDI. Please clarify the following things. I think the setup will be like we need to keep Matrox triple head to go near the Mac. For the Mac, we have to convert mini DisplayPort to DisplayPort and give that input to the Matrox. On the output into the Matrox, we have 3 display ports, each of which has to be individually extended using 3 HDMI to SDI converters, and at the end, we will again have to convert the HDMI to SDI, convert them to HDMI from SDI using 3 SDI to HDMI converters and give them to the 3 projectors. So instead of using 6 converters at output, can we use one set of similar converters at the input of the Matrox box? Would that work? By doing so, we get a problem in converting HDMI output from SDI converter to DisplayPort, as we have converter between we have a converter available to convert the DisplayPort to HDMI and not from HDMI to DisplayPort. Please give us your suggestions. Thanks very much. Great regards. Okay, so first thing, there are triple head to goes that use either HDMI or VGA, so you wouldn't have to go through the additional step of going from mini DisplayPort to DisplayPort. You just go mini DisplayPort to VGA or mini DisplayPort to HDMI. So that's one connection that'll save you. Secondly, I'm not totally certain about the bandwidth that's required to transfer the wider signal that the triple head to go tells the Mac to generate. Not sure about that bandwidth, but as I'm understanding your question, what you're wanting to do is take the triple head to go, and instead of having that near the computer, have that near the projectors, and do one long cable run and then 3 short cable runs, as opposed to 1 short cable run and 3 long cable runs. Here's what I would try. I would try doing the 1 long cable run with the 3 short cable runs first, because doing it that way, it's exactly the same equipment as doing 1 short and 3 longs, only you're not using 2 of the conversions. So I would try it that way first, even if you're not, up in the ceiling, just laying it out in your sanctuary and just getting approximate distances and see if that works. Now, if you're doing HDMI, since this is digital, almost doesn't work, looks just like works perfectly. So just keep that in mind, because it could look like, oh, well, this will work perfectly, and then you put it in place and it doesn't work at all, and nothing's changed except maybe the cable's a little longer or something like that. So just keep that in mind as an option, but I'd absolutely try it, save yourself some money, and go from there. Again, haven't done it, but the only thing that I'm getting concerned about is the initial long cable run, because more bandwidth tends to not want to travel as far on cable. So it could be it'll work perfectly fine, but that's my only concern there. And I haven't tried it either way, so that's what I want to suggest. Okay, Mark on Twitter said, "Hey Paul, can you recommend Windows-based DVD authoring software or send out to your followers for their thoughts? Thanks." Well, Adobe used to make something that was really great, and they discontinued it. And I don't use Windows. So this is me asking you, if you're watching this video or listening to this audio and you have something that you use for DVD authoring. I'm recording this in September of 2015, so it could be that it's something that's been around for a long time and it's still available, but who knows how much longer. Just put that in the comments and then I'll try and get that to Mark. So other than what Adobe used to make, there's all sorts of shareware and open source and all kinds of stuff like that, but I can't really honestly recommend any of them. They might be perfectly fine, I just haven't used them because, as I say, I use Mac. So finally, Jeff Ream via email says, "Hi Paul, I've been going through a lot of YouTube videos and I'm still trying to come up with a good solution. We are a multi-site campus and use Wirecast to broadcast live from the main campus to satellite campuses. We currently use ProPresenter 5 for all our lyrics, videos, etc. We're trying to put our scriptures, lyrics, etc. on lower thirds on the live feed so that the lyrics and live video are on this stream. Should I be doing this in ProPresenter or Wirecast as a lower third? I'm the worship guy and we let our tech guy go in the midst of some huge transitions, and I'm now responsible until a new hire. Any suggestions? Thanks, Jeff." Okay, first thing, in general, what you're going to want to do is you always want to put ProPresenter into your switcher. You don't want to take the output of the switcher and put that into ProPresenter. In general, that's the right way to do it. In your case, you're using Wirecast, which is basically software switcher and encoder. So I'd still recommend doing that. I think you're going to have an issue in that Wirecast does not support an alpha channel, which is less than ideal. But here's what I've come up with. Wirecast is a layered system. So what you can do is on the very top layer, actually just put the lyrics. So you pull those in from ProPresenter on a chroma key green background. Then you use the keyer in Wirecast to remove the chroma key green. And then underneath it, you can put any background that you want with transparency. So that would probably be either a PNG or a GIF or GIF, depending on who you talk to. Put that lower third, kind of like the lower third at the beginning of the video that I showed you. Put that lower third there, and then only change the lyrics. Change the lyrics in ProPresenter, but the background not so much. Doing it that way, you'll have more control and you can get a better quality of video. Now, underneath that, in the third layer, so you've got 5 layers. I'm proposing you have top layer is ProPresenter lyrics only. Next layer down, any background that you're using. Next layer down, the actual switching between cameras. So on your third layer down, I actually should have done it like that. If you're listening to the audio, you don't know what I'm doing. I'm just holding up fingers like they're layers. Anyway, on the third layer down, that's where you do your switching between cameras, and that should work. Now, if you want it different on the main screens that people are seeing in the room versus what's in Wirecast, I think what I would recommend doing is you can have a master-slave configuration with a couple of computers running ProPresenter. So have your main lyric feed be the master, and then have your other lyric feed be the slave, and do it that way. Because if there is any latency, I don't think there's going to be a lot, but there might be just enough. If there's any latency, then the people in the room are going to be a little less forgiving, just because, wait, why is it taking the lyrics half a second longer than I think to get up on screen? Than the people remotely who they're already getting a processed signal. So that's what I would recommend. Well, I hope that answered your questions. I hope that you find that there actually are some questions that I've answered of yours, but if not, don't forget to leave them below the video or head over to trinitydigitalmedia.com/contact to leave them. If you like this show, I bet you'd like my email newsletter, so by all means head over to trinitydigitalmedia.com/gifts, GIFTS, and pick up your church tech gift along with the free subscription to my email newsletter. If you get the email newsletter, by the way, I give even more tips and tricks and news about what's happening here at trinitydigitalmedia.com. Finally, head over to my store, and at the store you'll find all kinds of church tech stuff that I've made with you in mind, including my latest thing, which is teleprompter software that I've created that personally I use myself. Until next time, this is Paul Allen Clifford with trinitydigitalmedia.com. Go out and change eternity.